Hi there, welcome once again to the Dukascopy TV studio. I'm Ben Jones. Fresh off the ECB's decision to cut their rates yesterday, Francois Savary is alongside me to discuss the effect on the euro. Francois, thank you very much for joining us once again.
It's a pleasure.
So, can you begin by discussing for us the initial impact of this rate cut on the euro?
On the euro, it was obvious. The euro went down against the US dollar. It was a weaker currency yesterday, mainly because the ECB decided to go for strong measures, the combination of interest rates and ABS security purchase. The market was not expecting so many measures at the same time, so the impact was quite significant on the level of the currency.
Okay, now looking ahead with this new interest rate, how do you think a lower euro, a weaker euro, will affect the euro area? Do you think it's a positive?
It's clearly a positive, because when you think in terms of recent economic development, economic numbers have proven that the economic activity in Europe has been very low during the summer and the spring. So clearly with a stronger US dollar, you can expect that exports are going to be stronger in Europe. It should help economic activity to rebound. And there is also an impact on prices, because with a weaker euro, you will have imported prices increase, which should limit the deflation risk in Europe down the road.
Okay, now do you think this is it from ECB policy? Do you think that they will have to implement further stimulus?
That's a big question. Yesterday's measures were quite impressive, and the fact, for example, that the German had to agree with ABS security purchase is already a significant measure. What people have in mind as a potential further measure for the future is a QE and the purchase of government debt. I think that for the time being it will be difficult for Mr. Draghi to convince the German that QE is a necessity, and I think that there is a limit that they need to overcome, and I believe that those kind of measures that could come is a QE in the medium term, but for the time being it's too early for Mr. Draghi to go for these measures.
So now, if we can compare the euro and the dollar, looking further ahead, do you think there'll be some form of parity?
Well, I think that it's much too early to talk about parity. You know, it's a very difficult process right now for the world economy. Yes, the European Central Bank has been able to weaken the euro. Nevertheless, don't forget that economic activity in the US is not that strong, and I don't think that the US authority would see very positively if the weakness of the euro becomes excessive in the coming months. So it's much too early to talk about parity. I believe that if we reach the level of 120 in the next 12 months, it would already be a good sign and a positive for Europe.
Okay, and finally, very briefly, you mentioned QE. Hypothetically, if something like that were to be put in place, what effect would this have on the currency?
Oh, it could be significant, because with a QE, if Mr. Draghi obtains the authorization by the German to go for QE, which would need some institutional change in Europe, then I think that it would be possible to talk about a much lower euro. But for the time being, I don't think that the QE is going to materialize in the coming months. But you are right, if QE comes, then the euro could be much weaker down the road, and by that I mean the next few years.
Okay, fantastic. Francois, once again, thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
And thank you for watching. Do make sure you keep clicking back to Dukascopy TV, as we'll be bringing you plenty more updates and exclusive interviews. Bye for now.